one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. A good morning and a happy Thursday to everybody out there watching us live on that thing. I mean, we're on a lot of different things. I can't say on that thing. We're on a lot of different things. mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, wakeupcalldt.com, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. We're all over the place, and we're so happy that you're here with us, listening and watching every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We have fantastic, major, big news coming up about where Wake Up Call is going to be next. But I can't tell you today. I have to tell you tomorrow. Because tomorrow's my grandfather's lucky day. My Pop Cavino, his lucky day is Friday the 13th. And wouldn't you know, tomorrow is Friday, August 13th. So at noon Eastern Time on Friday, August 13th, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will be unveiling where we're going to be all next week. I will be somewhere on site, on location, but I can't tell you where. But I can tell you tomorrow. So, if you're not on Facebook, get on there at Wake Up Call DT, the Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, because that's where the announcement's going to be, and it's going to be live, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be fun. And I want to tell you, but I can't tell you until tomorrow. So, be patient. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora coming to you live, and then it goes to the archives. We just added stuff to the archives, including an interview with Donovan Brown, 2022 wide receiver committed to Syracuse from the great state of Maryland. Check us out by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Podbean. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on your favorite podcasting platform, and you'll find us. Or you can search one word, Wake Up Call DT. So, we're inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. I'm hanging out here on a Thursday, and I'm very, very excited for everything we have coming up in today's broadcast. Inside the Cafe Kubal studios, Cafe Kubal located on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, and 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse. The Kubal Co-works, where you can rent out a space for your business and do your podcast, record, edit, do what you need to do. A fantastic building located on 208 North Townsend Street, right above the cafe. So you can grab your coffee or your chai and head upstairs and go to work. So make sure you call them and get some more information on that. Of course, they're inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital, and they're out in Manlius on 343 Fayette Street. And their newest location, which is their first ever drive-through location, on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse. So get out to Cafe Kubal today. Jam-packed show inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. PJ is here doing his thing. He'll be on the fields of baseball and the fields of football. He'll bring us from one field to the other as one gets set for the postseason and one gets set for the new season. We'll talk about Major League Baseball and the NFL coming up here in just a little bit. And Papa Joe's got to keep the secret, too. He can't tell you where I'm going to be next week. He knows. Don't ask him. Do not ask him. So he knows he can't say it. We won't say it until tomorrow, Friday, August 13th at noon Eastern time. But he knows because, well, Papa Joe gets special privileges in my life. So Papa Joe will be with us in just a minute. And then in hour number 2, taking us through the entire rest of today's show from pretty much 10:15 on, my interviews with the Miami Hurricanes, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and the Pitt Panthers will finish off Coastal Cruisin Week. That's right, folks. Coastal Cruisin Week, where we have cruised through the Coastal Division of the ACC, as I had the opportunity to speak with players and coaches all throughout the entire ACC, and we had the Atlantic Action Week last week. This is the Coastal Cruisin' Week. You've heard from Duke and North Carolina, Virginia and Virginia Tech. Today you'll hear from Miami, Georgia Tech, and Pitt, as my conversations with coaches and players from around the ACC will all finish today with the last 3 of the 14 schools that I've yet to share with you. So I'm very excited about that. With that being said, let's bring in the man of the hour, PJ. Papa Joe, how we doing?
Good morning, Daniel. Everything's fine down here in beautiful Florida. 9 million degrees, but we get by.
Yeah, it's been 9 million degrees up here too. It's been in the 90s pretty much every day. It's been muggy. So I think God is just, giving me a little taste of where I used to live, basically. So I'm excited about the fact that, we've had a nice summer and it's been nice and warm and whatnot, but it's also been, uncomfortable. So I know that you guys get used to it and whatnot, but up here we get a lot of humidity, and it feels like you're going into a sauna when you step outside sometimes.
That's true. You gotta watch yourself. You gotta protect yourself. Wear a hat. Put some sunscreen on. Be smart. That's what we do down here.
Yeah,
and I'm tan. I always look tan, but I don't put stuff on me the way Mary T does, because she's got skin problems. But me, I got that Mediterranean look, so I just got to be smart too at my age.
Yeah, I'm the same. I looked in the mirror and I was like, how did I get a tan? But I just, I go outside, I walk a lot, and, I'm out there in the sun. So the olive complexion, I very much appreciate. If there's any truth to reincarnation, I hope that God keeps me coming back Hispanic and Italian. That's all I ask for.
That's right.
So Papa, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Italian lives matter. Remember that, Daniel.
Yeah, I love that T-shirt. And Italian lives are very, very important. I mean, where would we be without Italian pastries, without Italian music, without Italian singers, Italian actors, without the pasta, everything. I mean, if people think about it, Italians have infused themselves so much into the culture of the United States of America that people just consider it American. That's how Italian America has gotten. And without Italy, America doesn't have good food. They don't have good music. They don't have good acting. I think it's safe to say that without us Italians, PJ, the world would be a lot dimmer of a place.
That's very, very well said. Very well said. They should come to my house on Sunday, too, and they'll get a big test of Italian. That's for sure.
Yeah, getting the right food out there. So Papa Joe hanging out with us here this morning where sports meets life, going from the fields of baseball to the fields of football as we get set for one postseason and another one's regular season. PJ, let's hop right into baseball. I know you love getting into it. You love talking about it and giving us an update on where you think things are at. What is top of mind for you in the baseball world today?
Just looking at the standings, the standings are starting to take shape to tell us what the postseason is going to be like. The American League East got the Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays. Rays are up by 4 over Boston, and they're up 6 over New York and Toronto. This is starting to be a problem for me, because I always thought that Boston would be the one to run away with things. Well, they promptly lost 9 of 11, so now they've lost all their momentum. Chris Sale, are still waiting for him to come back. Don't know what's going to happen there. The Yankees, I hate to say it because I've been down on them for so long, they're starting to make a comeback themselves. Adding Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo, big help for them, and they could catch Tampa. I don't know. Toronto, of course, has the baby boomers there with Bichette and Guerrero. They're just going to keep going. We haven't seen the best of Toronto. Probably next year we'll do it. I got Cleveland. Cleveland's up by 10, and no one's going to touch them in the Central Division. The Western Division's a different story. You got the Houston is up. You got the A's 2 games behind. Seattle's 8 games behind. Oh, I like the A's, but the A's got thrown a curve this last week because of Ramon Laureano, the second-best center fielder in baseball, tested positive for anabolic steroids, so he's out 80 games. Tough. National League got Phillies and the Braves in the Eastern Division, a flat-footed tie with the Mets 1 game out. You like this division because you think it's close. It is close. It is close, but the winner of this division is not going to go anywhere. You got Milwaukee's up by 8 over the Reds in the Central Division. Milwaukee playing tough, not going to back up at all. I do have something to say about them when I go into my rundown.
Yeah.
The West is the Giants up by 4 over Dodgers, and San Diego is 8 games behind. This, as I told you several times, the World Series is going to run through the National League West between San Francisco, L.A., and San Diego if they wake up. Too much talent here on these teams. And frankly, I think the World Series National League will be coming from this division. So I'll give you my rundown a little bit later if you want, or you want to do it now, it's all right.
Yeah, we'll do the rundown here in a second, but, thank you, PJ, always giving us a look at, the world of baseball. And if it's something that you've paid attention to or not, he kind of gives you that, concise look at the nation when it comes to the sport of baseball. And I appreciate it as always because I think it's great. I think it's, if you haven't been seeing it or maybe you've been watching just your team and whatnot, I love the fact that you bring us in and allow us an opportunity to really, get a refill and a recharge of the battery when it comes to what's going on in the world of Major League Baseball. So before we get into your rundown, what do you, at this point in the season, what has been maybe the biggest jump for a team? Like, what team has impressed you the most, and what team has let you down the most, I guess is what I would ask at this point.
Well, I love the National League West. L.A. and San Francisco are so loaded, and, L.A. is trying to buy the pennant when they got Max Scherzer and Trey Turner from National League, from the Washington Nationals. Those two teams are loaded, and it's fun to watch them. I have Major League Baseball, as you know, the best gift from my wife, and I watch them extensively because they're on all the time, even though they're on late at night. Sometimes they have a 7 o'clock game our time, and it's fun to watch them. The biggest surprise is also Chicago White Sox. They were nondescript early in the year, but they're coming on big. They got 2 superstar all-stars, Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu. Abreu is a monster at the plate. My biggest disappointment, I'm afraid, is going to have to be the Red Sox. They are not playing up to potential. I know they're waiting for Chris Sale to come back, but he alone can't carry the team. Just like I say in New York Yankees, Garrett Cole can't carry the team.
Yeah.
The Red Sox are a major disappointment. They lost Mookie Betts over the winter, and they're just not playing to potential, and that upsets me because I thought they were the best team in the American League. Now I don't know.
Yeah, and the Red Sox, looking at that division, do you believe in the Blue Jays at all? Do you believe in the Tampa Bay Rays? At this, obviously the Miami Marlins on the other side. We'll talk about them with the NL East in a bit, but with the AL East, what about that division do you believe? Because, there's contenders and there's pretenders. There's teams that look like they got a good record and they might make a run and then they fall off the face of the earth. So who is a real contender in the AL East and who's a pretender?
Well, that's a tough one. They're all pretending right now because of the Red Sox dismal last 11 games. The Yankees have surprised me. I've been down on the Yankees all year long. Toronto certainly has the talent. They got a lot of young talent, but they've added George Springer from Houston, who led them to a World Series a couple of years ago. Springer has really solidified that lineup. Been watching the baby boomers hit Guerrera and Bichette. So those guys right there are the ones that I'm looking at. I don't think Toronto can carry that division now. They're just a little bit too young, but Boston has got to man up here. They're going to have to man up and play baseball the way they're supposed to play it, pitch the way they're supposed to, pitching and defense, good hitting. I still think that Tampa Bay is underappreciated over the years. It's amazing what these guys can do with players that you don't know anything about. It's difficult for a pundit like me to talk about them because there's not a lot of guys to talk about. They all do well and they all play hard. So, and it's managing too. They have a system down in Tampa Bay that's worked over the last 10 years since Joe Madden was there, and it works. It's not unlike Tampa Bay to start a starting pitcher, have him go 2 or 3 innings, and the rest of the game, there's a 1-inning relief job. 1 inning here, 1 inning here, all the way down the line, and it seems to work for them. It confuses the opposition. That's it in a nutshell.
And that's the thing. Here with Papa Joe this morning inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, you are watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, wakeupcalldt.com, Facebook in two places, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and facebook.com/livenowdt, as well as on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as we're discussing the world of Major League Baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays, last season, PJ, they were in a position where the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup, the Tampa Bay Bucks won the Super Bowl, the Tampa Bay Rays could have won the World Series, and, they were in a world where they had advanced so far into the postseason that it was a thought. Are the Rays, I know you said, this is a team where when they've had the names, they lose the names, they keep them for a little while, and then they go off somewhere else, and people know the names, throughout history now, but they started there. Is Tampa more than a farm system for big-time players to go make contracts somewhere else? Can Tampa be for real this year? Last year they were close. Can they do something this year to keep Tampa, Florida, top of mind in baseball?
Well, they've surprised a lot of people this year. They lost a lot of Blake Snell. They lost Cy Young Award winner over the winter. Tyler Glasgow is a number one starter. He's hurt. So how they're doing it piecemeal. They just have excellent hitting, and they run the bases well, and they play small ball. And hitting here, hit and run here, steal a base here. It's exciting to watch. They don't have big time sluggers or anything like that, but they're good and fun. They're not going to beat themselves, let's put it that way. They're not going to have an error in the bottom of the ninth inning, the top of the ninth inning to ruin their chances. They're just solid baseball team, have good fundamentals. And the starting lineup, I'll guarantee you, if you're not a baseball guy, you're not going to recognize who they are.
Well, and that's the thing. As a baseball purist, as someone who's loved the game for so long, do you like the fact that that Tampa might be this no-name ragtag group of players that just finds a way to do it? That they're not doing it with a superstar, they're not doing it with a crazy slugger and whatnot. Do you like the makeup of Tampa, that they're essentially a bunch of non-household names that are just working together as a unit, as opposed to having somebody that's world-renowned, or a spotlight person, or someone that costs $1 billion a season? Do you like the makeup of this team?
I do, and the reason I do is because I harken back to a movie called Moneyball. I think it was Matt Damon or Brad Pitt. One of those guys was the star in it, and this is exactly what Moneyball is. They probably have. Well, I'm sure they have the lowest payroll in the baseball. That I'm sure of. And with that being said, they just have a few guys that they can count on, and what they do is they wind up trading a guy and getting two other prospects for it. So they have a deep farm system. Moneyball comes into consideration. And if you've ever been at Tampa, and my son is listening today, this morning, I'm sure he is, we go over there several times to watch him.
Yeah.
I don't care if the Yankees or the Red Sox came into play, or Houston or something like that.
On 565 Hooper Road. Of course, this is an extension of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, entitled Sunny MD with Sunny Spear.
It's classy, Joe, and it's just neat. And there's not a lot of fun when you watch. There's not the average. I think the average for a game is something like 15,000. So that they're not making revenue from that. They're not making revenue from the hot dogs and the beer and things like that, because there's not enough people there. How they're doing it it's amazing how they're doing it, but they do it every year. The ownership over there knows exactly what they're doing. They have a figure in mind for their payroll, and they hit that figure, and they tell the manager, Kevin Cash, "Hey, Kevin, make this work." That's about all you can say.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Rays, and Mr. Joey is out there listening. He said, "What's up, go Rays?" And Joey, I owe you a phone call. I know that, but I do want to put out some love and some positivity your way. Been praying for you and sending my well wishes, and I hope that you are doing well on the mend soon, and hopefully that we get to be around each other sometime soon. So much love and much appreciation to Joe and to everybody out there, and to Kayla and to Lily for health, safety, and happiness. So happy that they're on here, but more than anything, want to just spread love and positivity today and make sure that everybody's healthy, PJ, because that's what matters.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Joe's been up against it, man. It's 3 weeks. I haven't seen him. I've talked to him and texted each other, but we haven't had a hug in 3 weeks because he's got COVID. Not only does he have COVID, he's got COVID pneumonia.
Yeah.
So it's been a real bitch, and he's tough though. He'll lost a lot of weight. He doesn't need to lose a lot of weight. You got to build up his strength because he's got a tough job.
Yeah. So much love to Joey. Love you right back. So. That coming from, just really positivity this morning. A lot of good stuff. So talking about the Rays, talking about the season, PJ and I are going to discuss his rankings right after this. He gives it to us every single week. We get to hear where PJ is sitting with the nation. And he said last week, I'm not giving you a top 15 anymore. I'm giving you a top 10. As we get closer and closer to the postseason, he's going top 10, he said, because from 11 to 15, too much going on there, different things happening. So we get a top 10 from Papa Joe, and then we'll head to the NFL right after this, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We have plenty to say after this fast break from our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on Facebook Live on facebook.com/livenowdt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Very proud to be here hanging out with you inside of the beautiful and the wonderful Cafe Kubal Studios. Cafe Kubal located all around Central New York for you. Head out to see them at 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, where Kubal Co-Works is, 401 South Salina Street, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital. There to give a cup of coffee and tea to those families that are there with their children, and God bless to everything that Golisano's Children's Hospital does. Our prayers and our hopes are with all of the families there today, that hopefully everything will work out and we'll have some miracles. So God bless to each and every single one of them there. And, a cup of coffee goes a long way after a long day. So Thanks to Cafe Kubal for being inside of there too. And of course on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius in their giant behemoth of a building where Rob Drummond and I will be on Monday, August 23rd, live, spoiler alert, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road where they have their first ever drive-thru, where I took my mama this week and we shot a little video. So if you want to check that out, you could see my mom on video with me because I was shooting one for Cafe Kubal and thought, I gotta up the ante on this thing. I gotta bring Deb in. I gotta bring the big guns into this video. So you can check that out at Wake Up Call DT on Facebook, at Call DT on the Twitter, and on Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT for Cafe Kubal. With that being said, inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', PJ continues the conversation of baseball. I hand it off to you, Papa Joe, as you let us know who are your top 10 ranked teams in all of Major League Baseball. We put all the divisions together, the American League, the National League, we throw them in a pot. Who's the top 10 this week?
I'm just having a difficult time separating the Dodgers and the Giants. They're just so much the best in the National League, other than the Brewers too, but they're just so much the best in the rest of the National League. It's difficult to judge. And this week I got the Dodgers back on top. They have multiple Cy Young Award winners with Clayton Kershaw and Max Scherzer. They traded for Trey Turner, who's an all-star. The problem, the fly in the ointment, is another all-star pitcher by the name of Trevor Bauer, and he's got problems with a sexual assault case. I don't know if he's going to be back on the year or not. Walker Buehler, who's just a tremendous young pitcher, very difficult to hit. That in itself should carry them. You got Mookie Betts, of course, but he's been on injured reserve. He's starting to come back a little bit now. So, I got the Dodgers ahead of the San Francisco. San Francisco in the last 10 years or 11 years, they won 3 national championships. They're no slouches. They know what they're doing over there too. They got Chris Bryant from the Cubs, who's making big headway with them now. Evan Longoria is coming back from an injury. Buster Posey's the best catcher in baseball. Brandon Crawford's the best shortstop in baseball. These guys will be flipping back and forth, I think, for a while till someone actually takes charge. And I do believe that the Dodgers will because of their pitching. Number 3, you got Tampa Bay. I mean, what else can we say about Tampa Bay? Unfortunately, Tyler Glass now is on the IR and not going to come back. Randy Arozarena is killing them. He's carrying the team. There's just not a lot of guys to talk about. I mean, Brandon Lowe is leading the team in RBIs, and Austin Meadows is leading the team in home runs, but they're just nondescript players. They're just good players, but they're not stars. And it's a shame, but every year we talk about Tampa the same way. Number 4, I got Houston. Listen, anyone who's got Altuve, Carrera, Brantley, and Alvarez who pound the hell out of the ball, they're not making headway. They should be better than this, but they're not. And again, it goes back to pitching. Justin Verlander, who is another multiple Cy Young Award winner. I don't know if he's going to come back off the IR or not, but Houston's there simply because of the stars that they have that are carrying the team. Number 5 is the White Sox. I've told you this from the beginning. I'm very surprised at them this year, but I shouldn't be because they have a Hall of Fame manager, Tony La Russa.
Yeah.
They got 2 superstars, Tim Anderson at shortstop and Jose Abreu. I think he plays first base. And Abreu is just killing the ball. I think he's leading the league, and RBIs are pretty close to it. So they continue to excel. Perhaps maybe they're overreaching, but they got a 10-game lead in their division. No one's going to catch them. So, they're going to have to start playing some younger guys and maybe get some guys in there that can help them in the postseason. At 6, I got the Brew Crew. Going good, going strong. I'm a little concerned. Christian Yelich has not bounced back from his injury at the beginning of last year. He was the most valuable player 2 years ago. He is a shell of himself.
Yeah.
I don't see the Christian Yelich that I saw a couple of years ago. He's not with it. Either he's still hurt. His hitting is terrible. He can't hit left-handers. They're pulling him when left-handers are pitching. Your best player is supposed to be there every day, and he's not. They got, and Josh Hader, who's the best reliever in baseball, is not playing because he's got COVID. And it still leads the division. They're remarkable. That's another small money ball team too, but they're a little bit more talented than Tampa. Padres at number 7. Major disappointment lately. They're not playing up to par. Fernando Tatis has been on the IR. He plays a wicked shortstop. He dives all over the place. He hurt himself doing that. So the chances are that they're going to keep Adam Frazier at second base, who leads the league in hitting. And maybe they'll have, when he's able to, maybe play right field so he doesn't have to kill himself all the time. He's a hell of a shortstop, but he takes too many chances. Number 8, I got Oakland. Oakland got some terrible news this last week, and it's just concerning to me because this guy was the second best center fielder in baseball, and that's Ramon Laureano. The guy can flat out get it. He can get it anywhere. On the fence, over the fence, left, right, all over the place. And so what does he do? He gets pinched for anabolic steroids. Now he's out 80 days. He's out for the rest of the year. He's going to be out for the playoffs. He's not going to start next year on time. And it's terrible. But they got Starlin Marte from the Marlins, who's taken over and played a decent center field for him. So I don't know if they're going to go anywhere because of Laureano. He's that good for them. Number 9, I got the Blue Jays. We've talked about them. Another excellent hitting team with George Springer leading the league with the baby boomers there. Jose Barrios is a heck of a pick from Minnesota when they got him. He's going to solidify it, the starting rotation. The Red Sox, absolutely blowing it out. Lost 9 of 11. They're a shell of themselves. Don't know what's going to happen. They can't possibly wait until Chris Sale comes back. They got to win, and they got to win now. They're not doing it. I got them. Matter of fact, if they don't, you're going to see them drop below. I'm going to go a little bit more too. I got the Yankees at 11,
okay.
With Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo being picked off the deadline there. Some powerful hitting, but you heard me criticize them last week because I think they need more pitching.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole, his last start, he got pounded again. I think his last 2 starts, he pounded again. He's a big guy, strong guy, SIAG Award winner, $300 million contract, but he can't carry it. Now, the Yankees could outscore guys 12-11 or 9-8, but not going to happen. I don't think they're going anywhere, even though they're 6 games back. If Tampa falters, which I don't think they will, the Yankees got a shot, but I can't see it here. Surprise here with the Reds at number 7. Cincinnati Reds get Nick Castellanos back from his injury. He was leading the league in hitting before he got hurt. The Reds are staying close to the Brewers. They got a shot to catch him. They're an excellent team, good fielding team, good hitting, good pitching. I'm going to go one more with Atlanta Braves because they're right up there, tied with Philadelphia in the National League East, which is the division you like, with the Mets in it. Charlie Morton has been great. They got him actually signed as a free agent from the Rays. He's a 10-4 record, ERA of about 3. Dynamite pitcher. Pitching has always been rich for the Atlanta Braves. They'll go as far as pitching and the big bat of Freddie Freeman. Wherever he goes, they go. The Phillies are right behind him, and we've talked about the Phillies, but the Phillies have got good pitching. Zach Wheeler had a 3-0 shutout, giving up only 2 hits his last out. Excellent. The Mets at 15. You got Seattle's up there. You got Cleveland's up there. I got to go to my Angels. My Angels are way down the list. They were 18 last week. They're going to stay at 18. They're not going anywhere either because Mike Trout, for some reason, Mike Trout's hamstring injury is not healed. And he may be working out, but he hasn't taken any live ball, any practice. Nothing. It's a major disappointment to me, especially because he's my favorite player.
Yeah.
The Angels are a 500 team. They're not going to get any better than that. Well, do they have a chance to sneak in a wild card? Probably not. They got Houston and the A's in that division. Seattle's 8 games back. I'm very disappointed with the Angels. So, Daniel, that's it. I could talk about the rest of the teams, but everyone else is below 500 and not worth the time. It's time for these teams that are already in, like Chicago White Sox and maybe even Milwaukee, is to start playing some younger players and see who can help them in the offseason or during the postseason.
Well, and thank you for that, PJ, giving us, outside of even the top 10 and top 13 or so here that we have for Major League Baseball, his rankings coming in to this week as we're here in the early part of August, getting set for the postseason coming up very, very soon. And one of the things that I find interesting is we spoke about the fact that the Tampa Bay Rays build up these guys that are not household names, then they become, then they go somewhere else. They become these big superstars, or maybe, they had the talent to be, but they go to Tampa, nobody knows them. Like you said, there's not a lot of fans in the stands, and people get to know them, and then all of a sudden they get big contracts, they leave Tampa. Evan Longoria is one of those guys, and that's the irony, is that San Fran, like you said, you didn't know who to put number 1 or number 2 in your rankings between the Dodgers and the Giants. On the San Francisco Giants is Evan Longoria, who used to be with the Rays, who you had ranked after them. So it's just kind of funny that we discussed that this morning, and here's Longoria, who made so much hay in Tampa, and, as he built himself up and built up his brand, he left and went somewhere else, and now the San Francisco Giants have had him the last few years.
Well, that's true. When we were watching Longoria play, even in person we were watching him, the pitchers used to pitch around Longoria, but frankly, he was the big stick that carried Tampa Bay. He needed to hit 25 homers and have 100 RBIs or close to that production. You're right. When he left to go to San Francisco, he hasn't played that well. He's played fair, but he hasn't played up to Evan Longoria. Now he's going to be in his mid-30s. Matter of fact, next year, he may not be part of the team anymore. So he's a first-class player, but he needs to stay healthy, and he needs to hit more for San Francisco to carry on. When you play, he plays third base. When you play next to Brandon Crawford at shortstop, you don't need to get any balls to your left because Crawford is going to get them. So if he can stay sound, play good defense, and have a little bit of a stick, he'll make a big difference.
Yeah, we got a nice message from Greg. Greg constantly listening in and watching the show, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora throughout the week, which I appreciate you, Greg, and a big fan of Papa Joe. He said, "Good morning, gentlemen. Checking in on family vacation. Hope all is well with you both." And I bring this up because Greg is watching and listening on his family vacation, which means the world. It means the world to me that anybody watches, listens, reads, connects with Wake Up Call or with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media in any way. And with you connecting with Wake Up Call and Superpowered Pop and Dan on Disney and Comic Book Trails and everything we do with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, that already means so much to me. But when you check in on vacation, that means a million times more. And when you check in Greg's case, he was listening to my mock draft with Mike Sofka, and he was doing it while he was fishing on a boat in the middle of the water. So the fact that you picked us up from there, I appreciate it. And how about this? Greg he's in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina, where I just was a few weeks ago. Perfect time for you, Greg, to be in the Queen City, as the ACC kickoff was down in the Queen City, and I'm sharing Coastal Cruisin Week. So Miami, Georgia Tech, and Pitt will be shared this week right here today on the show in hour number 2. So you picked a perfect time to be in the Queen City, because I am reminiscing about the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina in just a little bit at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time to carry us through the rest of the show. So give a shout out to the Queen City for me. Show some love to a city I love in Charlotte. And Charlotte will be front and center, ironically, in the way that God works. You're in the Queen City, and I'll be talking about my time in the Queen City with Miami, Pitt, and Georgia Tech in just a little bit. Papa Joe, for you, and he gave us a thank you, and then he appreciates the fact that we mentioned him and connected with him here today. What is it?
I'm glad it's on vacation, Daniel. I'm glad it's on vacation. But my question to you is, Greg, have you seen my man Jameis anywhere on vacation?
Jameis, well, if he was out there fishing, I'm sure he saw Jameis with some crab legs. He had to. So he had to see him out there. My man Jameis, famous Jameis Winston. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that the New Orleans Saints have a two-headed quarterback and that Drew Brees is retired. I still can't. I don't know if the city of New Orleans, which I had the blessing of going down and seeing in 2006, and I want to go back, I don't know if they feel like I feel, but I cannot wrap my head around Jameis Winston as your starting quarterback. I just can't see it. I mean, he was in the same division with the Bucs. He threw 33 touchdowns to 30 interceptions. He loves throwing it to anybody on the field who's willing to catch it, including those not on his team. So, I mean, he's good, but it's like for all the stuff he does, it's great. Then he does all those other things, the interceptions and the off-the-field issues and whatnot. So, I mean, PJ, I know we're very close to the season. We're a couple weeks away, but I still can't wrap my head around Jameis Winston being the starting quarterback after Drew Brees in New Orleans. I can't see Drew Brees passing the baton to Jameis Winston. I don't see it, and it's hard for me to really believe that that's a reality.
It's so true. You know, the coaches are Bruce Arians and the coach for Sean Payton. They're both very intense, minute figure guys. They love detail. And of course, Jameis was driving Arians crazy when he was in Tampa Bay because the detail that Arians coaches it was not being ascribed to by Jameis because he's thrown so many interceptions. Sean Payton's the same way. I mean, look at Drew Brees was not going to make any problems or any mistakes at quarterback, and he's going to demand that out of whoever wins the job. Now we know that what's his name?
Winston. How about Jameis?
The quarterback that they're competing with.
Oh, Taysom Hill.
Oh, Taysom Hill, right.
Yeah.
I mean, Taysom Hill obviously has the smarts. He's got a different quarterback set than Jameis does. I don't know if he'd even split it, but I think the preseason is going to really show here who he's going to be leaning on. And the way I looked at it when we used to watch preseason, the last preseason game is usually the starting lineup for any team that's on the field. And I'm curious to see what Sean Payton's going to do that with Taysom Hill. I'm not sure that Taysom Hill can throw the long ball the way Jameis can. I mean, Jameis can throw it through the roof. I mean, that's for sure. But, you know, it's just not smart enough. And I hate to keep saying that about Jameis, but he's got to think a little bit better. And if he does that, then perhaps maybe he'll win the job and rectify his self.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the best for Jameis. He did a terrific job. I love watching him at Florida State. But, the thing is, it's the issue of consistency, and it's the issue of, I mean, we did our predictions on yesterday's show, and I picked New Orleans to finish 4th out of 4 in the NFC South, and I didn't think that I would say that ever in the last decade, but I think the number 1 team, the Bucs, the number 2, the Falcons, the number 3, the Panthers, and the number 4, the Saints, because they have so many question marks. And that kind of leads us right into the NFL from one field to the next here with Papa Joe. But we're going to take a step aside for a fast break before we do it. PJ and I will be coming back to speak on the NFL as they roll toward the beginning of their season. Stay tuned for that right after this fast break from our great partners in Central and Upstate New York here inside the Cafe Kubal studios. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and you, remember this always, are amazing. We'll be back after this fast break. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. And we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We're also here on Facebook Live on facebook.com/livenowdt, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt as well. PJ and I going from one field to the next, and we went from the baseball field onto the football field right before the fast break, and I'll bring it back to PJ to give us some thoughts from down in the Jacksonville, North Florida area. What's going on with the Jaguars, sir?
Well, we just had their 11th practice, live practice, and there's still a lot of fluff coming out from down here. And I don't want to hear opinions from other pundits because I got my own opinions. But I do know that the Jaguars' scrimmages are very intense, and that's a typical Urban Meyer deal. He's still doing his one-on-one, and he's going to make his decisions very shortly about who's going to have the team.
Yeah.
There are some good news from our man Minshew. Minshew does not want to give up the starting quarterback job. He's playing extremely well. He's throwing the ball well. Gardner Minshew is really battling the number one pick for this position, and they're right now they're splitting them evenly. Of course, that's going to change. You know that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the quarterback, but Minshew is not giving up anything, and he's saying so. He says, "I'm here to compete, and I want to play." So, what can I tell you there? There is some talk coming out about Travis Etienne that they may be, the way he's playing, may be the starting quarterback. Now, I know your man Robinson was a hell of a player and did a heck of a job last year. But Travis Etienne is just, he may be in another league. I mean, he does it all well, runs well, blocks well, catches balls out of the backfield, can line up in a wide receiver in the slot. They're using him everywhere. I just hope they don't overuse him. But the talk is right now that he's a little bit of ahead of being the starting running back. Devon Hamilton, a defensive tackle, is turning a lot of heads also too. He's really busting balls down there and hanging on good, playing well. Wouldn't be surprised if they slot him to start either. Your man Cisco from Syracuse is also turning a lot of heads. Apparently, he's a big, long-armed, good defensive back, and he's making some headway. He's doing well.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the Jaguars without some drama, and the drama is coming from C.J. Henderson, their number one pick from the University of Florida. I hate to admit it, but Henderson is another drama queen, just like numbnuts Ramsey was. He didn't want to play. He had to take some time off because of personal reasons. The kid's 22 years old. What the hell kind of personal problems could you have at 22 when you got millions of dollars in the bank and you're a leading defender on a team?
Yeah.
What kind of problems could you have? That he wants to play, then he doesn't want to play. Well, I tell you, you don't do that with Urban Meyer. You either get on a field, practice, and play, or you don't play. So CJ's behind it. I know he's going to be a starting cornerback, but he's got to pick it up a little bit. He's got to pick it up. I hate to say it because he's a Gator, but he's not doing his job.
Yeah, you know what? Go ahead. What were you saying?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of news, sad news coming out of football down here. Bobby Bowden from Florida State has died, and he was some of the early '90s. Bobby Bowden in this state was what Steve Spurrier was to the Gators. He built Florida State from nothing, built it up to be a perennial power, two-time world NFL champer. He was really sad. I hate to see that. I mean, obviously I'm not a Seminole, but Bobby Bowden touched a lot of lives. He was very Christian. He did a hell of a job, and he alone is why Florida State is who they are, and where Mike Novell can come in for $4 million a year and carry on a tradition. Not sure he's going to do it, but it's because of Bobby Bowden in Florida State. That's it.
You know, and I can appreciate that, and that coming from a Gator. You know, I think fans need to understand something, and listeners and viewers. Papa Joe is a Gator, a Florida Gator through and through, and, you know, he has that type of respectful words for a Florida State Seminole in Bobby Bowden, and that just shows you that Bobby Bowden, you know, bridged the gap. He went, you know, when you command respect from your rivals, that says something. And, you know, Bobby Bowden has these, but I definitely want to read some of these quotes from Bobby Bowden because I think that they're important. One of the things he said was, quote, "To have the kind of year you want to have, something has to happen that you can't explain why it happened. Something has to happen that you can't coach." And I would say that about life. I would reword that and say, to have the kind of year you want to have, something has to happen in your life that you can't explain why it happened. And it's, you know, something that you can't be ready for, you couldn't put out there. Bobby also said, "That boy don't know the meaning of the word fear. In fact, I just saw his grades, and that boy don't know the meaning of a lot of words." End quote. He also said, "The greatest mistake is to continue to practice a mistake," which is a huge quote. I'm going to read that one again. "The greatest mistake is to continue to practice a mistake." Read here. But he said, quote, I was always going to church with my mom, dad, and sister. I was literally raised under the godly influence both at home and church. There was no alcohol and no smoking at our house. That was the way a Bowden was supposed to live. My dad always told me to represent the Bowden name in a respectful manner." Said that. I said, quote, "I've always said it takes more courage to stand back there and throw a ball knowing you're fixing to get drilled than anything I can think of in football." End quote. And then he said, "There's only about 6 inches that turn that halo into a noose." Said that. He said, you know, there's a bunch of them here. Okay, this one. Quote, "Discipline to me is sacrifice. It's willingness to give up something you want to do so you can better yourself." end quote. And then these two that, really do point to, obviously that time in your life where your life comes to an end here on this earth and God willing you go to heaven. He said, quote, after you retire, there's only one big event left, and I ain't ready for that. And then he also said, don't go to the grave with life unused. Don't go to the grave with life unused. I read some of those quotes off to you, Papa Joe.
Bobby Bowden was unique. I mean, I'm a Gator, of course, but he was respected and still is throughout the nation, especially in Florida. When you get accolades from Steve Spurrier about Bobby Bowden, you know that he got his name out there everywhere. And Steve Spurrier is not one to throw around accolades at all. You get one from Steve Spurrier, you're a solid guy. Bobby Bowden, he recruited some rough guys, some edgy guys that I like to call them, but they all played for him, and he just was a remarkable coach. It's sort of like Florida State losing their baseball coach, Mike Martin, who retired after something like 35 years or something like that. You don't replace Mike Martins or Bobby Bowden. I mean, you can carry on, but you don't replace them like that. He's a tremendous loss to football and mankind.
Yeah, and his quotes really they're timeless.
Yeah.
And they hit home. I'm reading one right now. Son, you've got a good engine, but your hands aren't on the steering wheel. I love that one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. And, was around the program, was around Bobby. I believe he's at Bobby Bowden's house. So, Bobby obviously has a special meaning to many people out there. And, to me, I mean, I didn't even know the man. Yet, you get around it and you start to really, respect him and appreciate him from what he's done and what he built. Florida State is Florida State because of Bobby Bowden. And I think, Florida State is on the map in so many ways because of that. I would go one step further and say that Florida State is on the map because of Bobby Bowden and Mary Landau. But that's just my thought.
Harry likes that. Harry tutored a lot of his players, believe me.
Yeah, so and where would we be without people like MT, and the teachers out there, and you, Papa Joe, and with you both being teachers, what can you say about that? I know that's it's a sometimes a very thankless job, but without the teachers of the world, some of these kids don't stay academically eligible and they can't be out there on the fields and the courts of life. So what can you say about the importance of a teacher and the work that you put in and the time that you put in that people never get to see?
Well, you recognize right away when you have a class full of students what the problems would be. And it's difficult to isolate the ones that don't do well, especially the ones that can't read. Dan, you can't believe how many kids come from grammar school to middle school that can't read and carry into high school and even into college. It's sad, but you wish you could take each student that has a problem and sit them down for 1 week and teach them, and then go back and teach your class again. But that's not the case. They got to be tutored on their own, and they've got to be able to stay up with the class. I remember I had an 8th grade class once where our middle school won the middle school basketball tournament. And a lot of those kids that played on there were going to go to St. Augustine High School and be with them and start with them. And they did. They won a national championship or a state championship, I think, in their senior year. But they weren't prepared for going to college. They just weren't prepared. They weren't prepared to go to high school. I mean, it's difficult to say that, but some of the kids that I had in 8th grade that were athletes, they couldn't compute simple math and they couldn't read too well. So it's sad to say, but every teacher that teaches does the very best they can in the situation that they're put into. And every one of the elementary school teachers that teach, which is the hardest job in teaching, is an elementary school teacher. You got to have kids be ready to go to middle school that can have the skills to compute simple math and read. And if you don't have that, they're behind the 8 ball. Then they get behind. Then they fail as class, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Just because you're an athlete doesn't mean that you can play legally. I mean, okay, if you have a 2.0 average and you're passing and you're an athlete, yeah, you're doing well. But if you're a D student and you're just passing barely and you have some issues with subjects, there's no way you should be playing. But the coaches these days are doing a good job with them. Tutoring is extremely valuable. And one of the classes that I had in my last years of teaching was teaching for at-risk kids, dropout kids that we call them.
Yeah.
It wasn't unusual for me to see 6th and 7th graders that are 15 and 16 years old that have been passed by several times over the years, and they just couldn't make it because they didn't grasp the fundamentals. So kudos to all the teachers out there. Mary and I retired, so the hell with it.
Yeah, and Joey said, shout out to Grandma Shook, biggest Bowden fan to ever live.
Yeah, right. Well, she was, too. He was intense. You know, I got back to the Jags. There's something disturbing coming out of the camp about Tim Tebow. Some of the pundits are saying that he's likely to be on the team because of Urban Meyer. And some of the pundits are saying he can't be on the team because he's just not good enough. And I kept hearing this stuff, and it was bothering me. So I went back to my little cheat sheet with all the players on it, and then we have 6 players battling for the tight end job. I don't know how many are going to be held, 3 or 4 at least.
Yeah.
3 at least, maybe 4.
Yeah.
And the talk out of the camp is that Tebow just isn't cutting it. I mean, he's an athlete. He does well. He does his exercise well. He does his weights well. He runs well. I don't know what's not clicking. Maybe because he's 34 years old, he's been out of football for 8 years. I mean, maybe that's part of it. But the talk is that Matt Hurts, Luke Farrell, Ben Ellefson, and O'Shaughnessy are going to be the 4 tight ends, with Tyler Davis and Tim Tebow on the
Unbeatable
outside.
clean? Meet unbeatable dry. Get dishes clean.
It's tough for me to say because I know what kind of person Tebow is, and I know what kind of athlete he is. I just think he's missed his calling. I think he's a little bit too old. If he makes the team, the most he can do is play 1 or 2 years at his age, although his body hasn't been abused at all. It's tough for me to say that, but I just don't think Tim is going to make the team.
Well, my thing on this is, what's the worst that they can have with him on the team? That's how I see things too, is, what's the worst that you can have? Because your tight ends are not household names. So, I mean, what's the worst thing that you can have with him out there? He blocked again. You put yourself on the 3-yard line, the 5-yard line, the 1-yard line, and you have him out there as a tight end. You have him as a decoy extra blocker to the offensive line, and then you have him running in. You pitch it to him. I think having him on the team with his faith and his positivity and his leadership, on top of the fact that you can utilize him in special sets and whatnot, how does the team lose? How do they really lose? Now, if they have a lineman go down and they need an extra lineman or they got to do this, listen, I understand. You don't need to carry 3 guys or 4 guys or whatever that may be. I get that totally. But if you need to carry 3 or 4 tight ends, why not? Why not have Tebow out there for you? I don't understand that. I don't understand why having him on the team is such a bad thing. And I don't know why people care so much. That's the thing that I don't understand. I don't know why people care so much. I've never heard people talk about a tight end so much. Did they talk about Travis Kelce this much when he came out of college? And now he's the best tight end in the nation. Did they talk about Tony Gonzalez like this? It's like, did we really go to camp? Oh, my God. I mean, when Gonzalez was a rookie, were people out there at camp just staring, waiting, hoping, wishing? I've never heard people talk so much about a tight end in my life. And my questions are, How are they going to use James Robinson and Travis Etienne together? How's Trevor Lawrence's maturation process coming? Why is Gardner Minshew still on the team? What do they think he can do? How's the defense looking? How's the depth of the offensive line? How's the health of the offensive line? The defensive lineman, what are they going to do with Taven Bryan? Is he going to make it out of his rookie contract, or are they going to get rid of him? There's so many more questions with Jacksonville that are not Tim Tebow, and they're all more important. But everybody wants to talk about Tim Tebow when you and I know, Papa Joe, from covering this Jacksonville team for a long time, that there's a lot more questions on a one-win team than there is about Tim Tebow.
That's true. I mean, he certainly can add to the team, no matter if he's not playing or not. Just being in the clubhouse. Listen to me. Listen to me in the locker room. It's certainly. And listen, you could use Tebow. There was a problem with the team. Who's the first person Urban Meyer would come and look at? Hey, can you help me out with this? Who's he going to go to? He's going to go to Tebow and say, hey, listen, I'm having a problem with this guy. Can you take him aside and do a little talking? Now, what's the matter with that? I don't have a problem with that. I mean, is he talented enough to play tight end? Probably not. But he certainly is beneficial in your locker room and on the team. If Urban Meyer has a problem with someone, he just got to look at Tebow and maybe roll his eyes somewhere, and people don't know exactly what he's talking about. Tebow will take the kid out, maybe have a lunch with him or something like that. Maybe after practice to BS with him for a while. That's how strong of a personality he is, and that's why he's so admired. He's so admired because he can do that, and if he can do that, Urban, you got to keep him.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is having him on the team just for the sheer who he is, what he does, his life experience, and what he could do to a locker room that's been all type of mixed up in the bad situations over the years. This locker room's had a bunch of knuckleheads. Now they have the chance of having somebody positive. Why not? Trevor Lawrence has talked positively about him, and that's your quarterback. So, I don't know. I don't see how it's a bad thing. I just don't. And I think people talk about Tim Tebow over and over again because they're jealous. You can't find anything wrong with the guy. And that's the thing is, if you can't find anything wrong with him, then okay, then sorry, bees keep buzzing around. Maybe there's no pollen here. So, I mean, what do you want me to say? So, I just want to see this team come together. I want to get my butt back out in Duval, and, because last year with Corona, was not able to. I wanted to, just didn't have the road was blocked due to COVID. So I'm hoping this year that it's different in Jacksonville, God willing, and definitely appreciate it. So with all that being said, PJ, I thank you as always. I will make my announcement tomorrow. I cannot make it today. I want to make it today, but when I make it tomorrow, then you can talk about it tomorrow. But you can't talk about it until tomorrow. Only with Mary T, okay?
All right, that's fine.
All right, I'll talk with you soon.
Okay, right. Bye-bye.
Take care. That coming from Papa Joe here, where sports meets that thing called life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate you hanging out here with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We will take our step aside here for a fast break. When we come back, Wake Up Call. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to just carry it through. Let's just carry it through. How about that? How about we don't take a step aside and we just go full steam ahead? You want to know why? Because we're talking about the state of Florida. We talked about North Florida and Jacksonville and Duval County. Well, now it's time to go down to Miami-Dade. And it's time to discuss the Miami Hurricanes. And I had the opportunity to speak with some of those Hurricanes going into the 2021-2022 college football season. I had the opportunity to speak with wide receiver Michael Harley Jr., and quarterback, who I knew in Houston and covered in Houston, De'Aaron King. So I knew Miami was getting a potential stud way before some of those Miami fans knew what they were getting. And I'm excited for the opportunity to be able to share these with you. So let's get things started. The Miami Hurricanes proudly bring us into our final portion of Coastal Cruising Week. Coastal Cruisin' Week happening right here on Wake Up Call, where I bring you Duke, North Carolina, Virginia Tech first at the beginning of the week. And now it's time for Miami, Georgia Tech, and Pitt to round out Coastal Cruisin' Week, the ACC's Coastal Division takeover of Wake Up Call this week. And so coming up first in this are the Miami Hurricanes and my opportunity to share with you my conversations with them, starting off with Michael Harley Jr., their wide receiver.
Michael, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Just what you can say about looking at the fact that this season you're looking to set some records here at Miami, and just, personally what that means to you to be a part of history and the receivers that came before you, and then overall kind of just looking at the team this year.
First of all, God does everything for a reason. I was questioning myself even, coming back, and then, my coaches told me I'm, a few catches away, a couple yards away from very being legendary. But, I take that in, but, I just come to keep the main thing, come to workouts, do everything right, do the little things right, keep my locker room clean, show up on time to meetings and, practice, because, it all is going to translate, to the field. And just this team in general, like as Coach Diaz said, we just don't do it. We love it. When it comes to a sprint, being the first, showing the young guys the way. With me, I just want to be like that leader that the young guys never had, a big brother that the young guys never had to receive to this team.
Michael Harley Jr. speaking with me here inside of our Coastal Cruisin week of the Miami Hurricanes, wide receiver with an opportunity to do some awesome things this season with Miami, closing in on becoming Miami's all-time leader in receptions and in receiving yards. Michael Harley Jr. Think about that. All-time leader in receptions and receiving yards, closing in on becoming Miami's new leader in that respect. And he's going to need the help of a one De'Aaron King, his quarterback, and De'Aaron and I had the opportunity to speak as well. Here's my first conversation with De'Aaron King.
De'Aaron, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Just what you can say about everything that you've done in your career, coming from Houston, making the decision to come to Miami, and then making the decision to come back this year. Just the road that you've taken. Why was Miami the right choice in hindsight, and why did you come back this year?
Man, it's a long journey. Both my days in Houston, I love the University of Houston. I'm an alumni there. Got my degree from there. It's not just Miami. Like Aaron Portal, I probably had to lose the top road. Obviously, the University of Miami is one of the best universities in the country, one of the most high football teams in the country to play for. And then just Coach Diaz, talking to Coach Diaz for a while, and at the end of the day, what last is almost 48 years he did the job. And I thought I was the right fit for his offense. And we decided to come back. It was an easy decision. Being a starting quarterback at the University of Miami is pretty big for me. I love to see Miami, I love my teammates. And last year I feel like we had a decent year, had a good year, but it wasn't outstanding. Right? So, this year we all come back, a lot of us decided to come back and try to reach outstanding, try to do it the right way. I had an off-season last year, one of the whole COVID season. I want to use my off-season freshman, I want to see the university win, so that's why I started coming back.
De'Aaron King making the decision to come back to Miami and see what he can do as he steps forward here in his career and looking to really put Miami on the map. And the majority of the media of the ACC, including myself, have Miami number 2 in the Coastal Division behind only North Carolina. And I think it's going to be, could be either way, and I think it's going to be close here. Next thing up with De'Aaron King, my second conversation with him inside of Coastal Cruisin Week with the Coastal Division of the ACC taking over Wake Up Call. This is what De'Aaron King had to say.
De'Aaron, just what you can say about Manny Diaz, in the relationship in the transfer portal and trying to figure out where to go. Why was Manny the right fit, and why is he still the right fit for Miami in your opinion?
Yeah, De'Aaron's a great coach, and before he's a great coach, he's a great person. Right, so I think for me, having so many different coaches every single year, I want to find a players coach who wants to do whatever it is for the players, and that's what I love about him. If he can make anything better for us, he'll do it. I respect that 100%, and he's just a great man all around.
Speaking on Manny Diaz, their head coach, that coming from De'Aaron King inside of Coastal Cruisin Week with the Miami Hurricanes. I want to go back to Michael Harley Jr., who De'Aaron will be throwing to this season. Michael Harley Jr. closing in on being the potential all-time leader in Miami Hurricane history in receiving yards and in receptions for a career. Very interesting thing here. And if we look at where he's at as far as receiving yards, in total he has 1,615. The leader is Santana Moss with 2,547, which means that Michael Harley only needs 933 yards. Doesn't even need 1,000 yards this season to beat that. And that would put him at number one. Currently, it's Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, Michael Irvin, Lamar Thomas, Stacy Coley, Leonard Hankerson, Travis Benjamin, Philip Dorsett, Alan Hearns, Andre Johnson, Eddie Brown, Clive Walford, Wesley Carroll, Larry Brodsky, Randall Hill, and Chris T. Jones ahead of him. But, some of these are close here. Think about this. 933 yards away for Michael Harley Jr., Miami wide receiver, for being above the likes of Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, Michael Irvin, Alan Hearns, Andre Johnson, Philip Dorsett, Travis Benjamin. Are you kidding me? 933 yards away. On a list like that with those names. Reception-wise, he's even closer. Reception-wise, we're looking at the fact that the leader in receptions is Reggie Wayne with 173, Stacy Coley with 166, Lamar Thomas with 144, then Santana Moss and Michael Irvin with 143, Leonard Hankerson with 134, Travis Benjamin with 131, and Michael Harley Jr. with 125, which means that he only needs to catch the ball 49 times this season to be above every Miami receiver in the history of Miami Hurricane football, including Reggie Wayne, Santana Moss, Michael Irvin, and company. Huge. Think about that. Michael Harley, your current receiver, the current receiver for the Miami Hurricanes, is 933 yards and 49 receptions away from being the all-time leader in career receiving yards and career receptions for the Miami Hurricanes, above Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, Michael Irvin, and company. That is a feat in and of itself that is pretty incredible. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back with more from Coastal Cruisin' Week right after this as Georgia Tech takes the stage. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is your home that you've known for decades in our community of Liverpool, New York, here in central and upstate New York. Make sure you make your way over to Avicoli's, which is just minutes. It's within walking distance of Liverpool High School. You can head right over there and enjoy yourself some time at Avicoli's by going to their location on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. They're open on the casual pizza side as well as the fine dining side, their bar, and of course their outdoor dining as our weather has permitted that. So make sure you definitely go out there and enjoy that today and have some fun with that for sure. So thank you to all that they do at Avicoli's, including every single month having us on site on location with the Wake Up Call sit down event that we do every month at Avicoli's with Liverpool Warriors athletic programs. Thanks to Ari Lieberman and everybody, all the coaches and the players at Liverpool, for welcoming us with open arms. And thank you to Avicoli's for having us have the opportunity to be able to host it there on site on location right down the road. So thank you to Avicoli's for caring about the community, and of course thank you to the community for caring about Avicoli's. You can call them at 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. And of course go to myavicolis.com. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. Make your way over to the campground on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse. Old Bridge Street, once again, 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse for the Canine Camp Dog Daycare, and the Canine Campground Dog Boarding right around the corner at 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse. Both of them there for you under the same ownership, led by Lorraine and Chad and the entire fantastic team at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, caring for our furry loving friends and taking care of them as part of their family. So when you bring your dog anywhere, you want to make sure that even if it's for a few hours or it's for a vacation, that they're being taken care of, they're being loved up, and they're being treated very well. Well, Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, you know me, I can't talk about something unless I've utilized it myself, and they have been amazing to Lily no matter how long she's there, and what she gets to do every day is really incredible. Just being around the owner and playing with other dogs and just, having them pick her up and hold her. And it makes me happy to see that, when I pick her up, that she's good and she's doing well. And my dog shows her emotions. So she definitely lets you know what type of time she's having. And I love the fact that Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding takes care of our animals for us, takes care of our little pups and our big pups. And I love that they've taken care of Lily. So make sure you get in touch with them today by going to k-9kamp.com for the daycare, and for the campground, k-9kamp.com. PB&J's Lunchbox, located minutes from Destiny, USA, Onondaga Lake Parkway, the Thruway, and the Highway, is centrally located for you in their new Street Side Cafe, open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, giving you their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, their Philly cheesesteak wraps, and so much more, their mac salad, their brownies. Everything at PB&J's Lunchbox that I've had has been awesome. Make sure you find your way out to them today on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Their new Street Side Cafe, centrally located right on that main road for you on Old Liverpool Road. Go out and see PB&J's Lunchbox today. You love the food truck, and now you get to go to the Street Side Cafe. So when you're chasing around that food truck, finding where they're going to be next, well, when you got that craving and that hankering for PB&J's Lunchbox, you can now go over there Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Nothing like a food truck getting a brick and mortar place so that we can have that food that we love from the food truck and so much more at their cafe. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, located on 791 West Genesee Street in Skinny Atlas, New York, minutes from Skinny Atlas Lake, is there for you to take each step toward your own personal victory. Whatever your injury from head to toe, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here for you for preventative care, rehab, and physical therapy, as well as surgery. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, led by Dr. Mark Petropoli, does two things that you would think everybody should do, but they do it well and they do it consistently, which is why I've gone out there for almost a decade. They listen to you and they care. Listening to your patients, caring about what they have to say, and working with them, that is something that you don't find in a lot of places, and I can honestly say that. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, from Dr. Mark Petropoli to his entire team, have worked with me. They remember my name. They remember things about me. I could not see them for 6 months, and they'll say, "Hey, Dan, how did that game go? How did this go? I remember you talking, you wrote this story. How did everything go with that?" They know you, they appreciate you, they listen to you, and they walk you through the process. That is something that is extremely hard to find, and the rarity of that is why you need to go out to Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, because whatever injury, whatever you got going on, head to toe, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does things differently in the most beautiful of ways. Call 315-685-7544. That's 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. With that being stated, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, it's time to continue on here inside of Coastal Cruisin Week. The ACC's Coastal Division taking over Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In the earlier part of the week, you heard from Duke and North Carolina in the great state of North Carolina, and you heard from Virginia and Virginia Tech in the great state of Virginia. Now you've gone to Miami after hearing from Papa Joe in North Florida. We travel down to South Florida. Now we will travel just a little bit farther to Georgia Tech in Atlanta to hear from the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, starting off first and foremost with their head coach, who I got to know when he was at Temple. And ironically, first time I ever interviewed him was over the phone when I was in North Florida in St. Augustine. So how funny the irony of being in North Florida, speaking with Jeff Collins when he was at Temple, and then Papa Joe's in North Florida, and we go to Miami, and now we go to Atlanta, Georgia, but it's to a guy that I spoke with in North Florida. that's life coming full circle. Here's Jeff Collins and what he had to say to me.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Just what you can say about, I know going into Georgia Tech you had to change culture and obviously change what it looks like on the field. Where are things at, in your opinion, as you step into this season?
Yeah, it's an exciting time. We've got 14 guys that came in January. The way the culture is set up, the way how we approach our daily life in our organization, in our building, is completely set. They've done a great job bringing the guys in. Last year we had a bunch of true freshmen play, starting quarterback. Jeff Simmons was a true freshman. Weird Gibbs started for us at right tackle. Jordan Williams started for us as a true freshman. I think was re-ranked as the 8th ranked recruiting class that played for us last year. Now this will be our second recruiting class full that will be reporting in 2 weeks of preseason camp. Just excited to get to work with them. And Coach Corral, head strength coach, does a tremendous job with our guys and how we work and how we're developed. And just excited to be back on the grass.
Coming from Jeff Collins, the head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, as he looks to change things up from what we knew Georgia Tech to be to the era he wants to bring it into. We knew him as the triple option. Paul Johnson brought it from Navy down to Georgia Tech, and Jeff Collins changing it up a little bit, and we'll hear from his quarterback in a second, but not before we hear another notes from Mr. Jeff Collins, the head coach of the team, when I had the opportunity to speak with him heading into the 2021-2022 season.
Coach, looking at this offense and making that change, going through a COVID year obviously affects you trying to change exactly what Georgia Tech looks like. So where are things at as you head into the fall, and how much did the COVID year affect kind of what you were trying to do?
Yeah, so we're excited about where we are. We had 3 true freshmen start for us on offense last year. Jordan Williams, an offensive tackle, Jameer Gibbs, running back, Jeff Simmons, a quarterback, and just the growth and development they've made in our program since January is staggering. Dave Peckman, our offense coordinator, his office is about 10 yards away from mine. And over the last 7 months, there's not been a day that I walk past his office and Jeff Simmons is not in that room. Watching tape, studying the playbook, learning defense, learning the rotational coverages, where the pressure's coming, how to redirect the protections. Those things are huge. And then Jameer Gibbs, JP Mason, our running backs, both guys coming in for the Dylan Walker Award, well-deserving for both of them. And then you also look at Jemai Stewart, the running back, who's the game player of the year in the state of Georgia, returns for us, and then Dante Smith, at running back as well, does a tremendous job on special teams and as an explosive playmaker whenever he gets the ball in his hands. So I think that combination is really good. And then the offensive line, Brent Key is recruited, has developed, is in a position to help us take that next big step in our program. I'm excited.
Jeff Collins, a lot to be excited about at Georgia Tech, trying to get the fan base and everybody ready and set on the season. With Coastal Cruisin Week, Georgia Tech is here in front and center in the spotlight on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and it's time for me to get into my Georgia Tech player conversations. And coming up on today's broadcast in Coastal Cruisin Week, you're going to hear from Ayinde Ely, the linebacker of Georgia Tech. You'll also hear from Jeff Sims, their quarterback, and Wanye Thomas, their defensive back. Ayinde is up first, and this is what he had to say when we had the opportunity to speak with one another heading into the season.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Ayinde, going from Maryland to Georgia Tech, what made this the right fit for you? What made the most sense to come to Georgia Tech when you had so many different suitors?
The situation matched up. David Curry, who was a great linebacker at Georgia Tech, great leader, and he was leaving, and it was a role there that was open and that I decided to step into, and just the situation and just the atmosphere, it just matched. And talking to Coach Collins, Coach Thacker, talking to the guys, and it was just a match. I just felt like that's where I was meant to be. It just took me there. And I feel like it's one of the best decisions I've made in a long time.
One of the best decisions he's made in a long time, utilizing the transfer portal and coming in to Georgia Tech from Maryland, and to get his kind of take on things and where he's at and what's going on. And we'll be taking a look at Georgia Tech here in a second as well, and see how things have been going for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets as they step into this upcoming season. We'll take a look back at Miami as well. We'll take a look at Pittsburgh, who's coming up in just a little bit. But I did want to give you the statistics on Allende as he steps in to Georgia Tech from Maryland, and take a look at what he's done up to this point when he was with the Maryland Terrapins. And he spent 3 seasons there. As a freshman, he had 7 solo tackles, 6 assisted. The next year, he had 44 solo and 35 assisted. And last season, 7 solo, 12 assisted tackles. Only played in 3 games last season, but the season that he played the most in, 2019, 11 games, 44 solo, 35 assisted, 79 total tackles, 4 of those for a loss, a half a sack, and an interception, 4 passes defended, and 2 fumble recoveries. So Georgia Tech getting somebody there to help their defense as they step forward. And then going to the offensive side of things, stepping forward, here is my conversation with Jeff Sims, their quarterback.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Jeff, for you last season is your experience as a college football player. You don't have fans out there. The strangest year that we've all had was your first year. So what did you take away from that, and what are you most looking forward to?
It was definitely a lot to learn from last year. There's definitely a lot of things that I watched from last year that helped me improve this year. And just looking back at last year, I'm glad that I got that opportunity just to get my feet wet and get the experience on my belt to come hard for my second year.
Jeff Sims, happy that he got the experience last season and get the feet under him and get that experience under his belt to be where he is today as he goes forward here with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Jeff Sims as their quarterback in an offense that's obviously going to be different under Jeff Collins as they've worked to put this all together. So to take a look at Jeff Sims so far, and this is what he was given last year as a freshman quarterback. He had 141 completions on 257 attempts, 54.9% completion percentage, 1,881 yards passing, 13 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. So obviously wants to improve on that coming off of his true freshman season. And because last year was the COVID year, he's technically a freshman all over again. Next up on the docket here in Coastal Cruisin' Week with Georgia Tech is Wanye Thomas, the defensive back with some personality. Here he is.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Wanye, looking at name, image, and likeness, something that you have to think about. Student athletes of all different sports all over the country. What thoughts have come to your mind? What's kind of you're essentially a small business. Every player is now. So how do you look at that?
It's a good thing for us. It's a good way to make money off of your name and help your family and all. And honestly, I really do think it's a great thing. But for me, I'm not really paying attention to that right now. The focus on for us and Georgia Tech is we're trying to win serious.
Georgia Tech with Wanye Thomas and company here with us on Coastal Cruisin' Week on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And getting some thoughts from the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets as we are here inside of the Coastal Division's takeover of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of Coastal Cruisin' Week. And to take a look back at Georgia Tech this past season with Jeff Collins back in 2020 and how things went from there, to take a look at Georgia Tech trying to implement changes to the offense and implement, really put Jeff Collins' stamp on what's going on in Georgia Tech coming off of Paul Johnson and seeing what they were able to do. I mean, obviously in a COVID year, it's a very unique time to try and implement anything. And so they finished off last season at 3-7, 3-6 in the ACC. They won their first game of the season at Florida State on the road, 16-13. Then they would lose to UCF, who was ranked 14th in the country at the time in the American Athletic Conference, 49-21. They lost at Syracuse 37-20, and then they defeated Louisville at home 46-27, and then lost 3 in a row. Clemson at home, number 1 Clemson 73-7. Georgia Tech lost that game. Boston, I think Trevor Lawrence came out in like the second quarter, so something ridiculous. I don't think he played the entire second half. Boston College on the road, Notre Dame at home, who was ranked number 4 in the country, and then they defeated Duke 56-33 at home, lost at NC State, and lost to Pittsburgh to round out the season. And they were supposed to play Miami on Saturday, November 21st. Then it got moved to December 19th, and it eventually got canceled. So they only played 10 games last season, not the 11 that were allotted for the ACC to play, 1 non-conference, 10 conference, and they ended up going 3-7 overall, taking a look at Georgia Tech. This season, on their docket for 2021, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets will start off the season against Northern Illinois in a non-conference game at home, Kennesaw State at home, and then their first conference game will be the team they lost to 73-7 last year, but they don't have Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, and that is at Clemson at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, September 18th. Then they get to play North Carolina right after on September 25th, a week later. Arguably, and according to most of the media, including myself that cover the ACC, we chose Clemson and North Carolina to face off in the ACC Championship. If that happens, that means that Georgia Tech will be facing off against the 2 teams that will be in the ACC Championship in back-to-back weeks in the regular season. They'll have to face Clemson and North Carolina back-to-back. And North Carolina game is going to be played at a neutral location, so they get to play either game at home, at Clemson and at a neutral location for North Carolina. They're home against Pitt, and then at Duke, at Virginia, Virginia Tech right after that. So the 2 Virginias on October 23rd and October 30th. Then they're at Miami, and then they play 2 of their next 3 at home, Boston College, at Notre Dame, and then the battle for Georgia against the Georgia Bulldogs on Saturday, November 27th. And the day that Georgia Tech wins that game is the day that Jeff Collins and company are making some hay, making some change, and some positive change. So it'll be interesting to see if and when that gets to happen. Hopefully it happens soon for Jeff Collins, because I'm a fan. So I want to go back to Miami, because we didn't discuss how they went last year and the year before, and this upcoming year, what they have going on. The Miami Hurricanes under Manny Diaz, who is supposed to go to... Here's some irony. Here's another full circle. Jeff Collins leaves Temple for Georgia Tech, which opens up the job for Manny Diaz, who takes the job at Temple, and then before the plane even cooled down, flew back to Miami and took the Miami job when Mark Richt retired. So think about how crazy that is. Jeff Collins is in Temple. He comes down to Georgia Tech. Manny Diaz goes up to Temple, decides no, comes back down to Miami. And here we are, and both of them are in the same division facing off against each other in the Coastal. Georgia Tech for Jeff Collins, Miami for Manny Diaz. So with that being just showing you once again how small this world is. 2020, and you never know who you're going to see twice. So remember that. Miami Hurricanes last year, 8-3 overall. Good season for them, 7-2 in the ACC. They faced off against UAB and then at Louisville, who was ranked 18th in the country at the time. And remember when Louisville was ranked really high and people thought Louisville was going to have a good season last season? Yeah, the debacle after that. But in the beginning part of the season, Louisville was ranked high. Miami and Louisville were ranked in the top 20 at the time that they played. I remember watching that game with Rudy and Evan, I believe, here in Syracuse. So Miami defeated UAB at home at Louisville and then won against Florida State 52-10 in a battle inside the state of Florida. Lost at Clemson, who was number 1 at the time, 42-17. Defeated Pittsburgh and Virginia, at NC State and at Virginia Tech, and then at Duke. Their game against Georgia Tech was postponed and canceled, as I had stated, and then they lost to North Carolina in their last game of the regular season. Who was ranked 17th in the country, lost to them 62-26 in a very lopsided game. And then they lost to Oklahoma State in the Cheez-It Bowl. Believe it or not, there's a bowl called the Cheez-It Bowl. 37-34, so by a field goal at the end there. So Miami starts off last season with a 3-game winning streak, then a 5-game winning streak after one loss. If you look at it, in their first 9 games, they went 8-1. And then from there, lost the last two to finish off 8-3. So some things to build upon for Manny Diaz and the crew. I'm a fan of what they're doing in Miami and hoping great things for Manny Diaz. And to take a look at this coming season, 2021, they will have the easy task of facing off against the Alabama Crimson Tide in their first game of the season, played on a neutral location. Miami will face off against Nick Saban and Alabama on Saturday, September 4th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then they'll play Appalachian State at home, Michigan State at home in a battle against the Big Ten, Central Connecticut State at home. So after they play Alabama on a neutral location, they play all the other three of their non-conference games at home, and then they play their first ACC conference game at home. So you got to start the season against Alabama, but then you get to play 4 games in a row at home and 5 of 6 at home to boot, and you get to play your 3 non-conference games at home, plus you play your first conference game at home. So not too shabby for Miami. You say, oh my gosh, they got to start against Alabama. It's a horrible way to start the season. Yeah, but then you get to go home for 4 in a row, including all your non-conference and your first conference game. Then they're at North Carolina, home against NC State, at Pitt, home against Georgia Tech, at Florida State, home against Virginia Tech, and at Duke. So how about this? They never have 2 games on the road this year. Miami does not play 2 games on the road this year back-to-back once. Not even once. Neutral, home, 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 road, home, road, home, road, home, road. I don't know who set that schedule for Miami, but kudos to them. I know Syracuse fans and everybody else wishes they had a schedule like that. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we'll finish off the coastal takeover of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Coastal Cruisin' Week with the Pitt Panthers, Pat Narduzzi and company, coming up next inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com. So what's popping? In the meantime, while we're on this fast break, you'll hear from Ma and Pa's, and you should go to Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com because any one of the 50 states can have it shipped to you directly. So go to Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com and use the promo code DT20, that's DT20, to get 20% off today. From the Cafe Kubal Studios, Wake Up Call. We'll be back right after this with the Pitt Panthers.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Here at Progressive Dental, we understand the importance of regular dental visits and preventive care. Cleanings and checkups are essential to good oral health. We have multiple locations in the Southern Tier, so come visit us in Binghamton, Enwell, Kirkwood, Montrose, and Norwich. For self-pay non-insured patients, we offer the Smile Plan, which covers all of your cleanings, x-rays, and exams for an affordable yearly price. Call 607-754-2273 or 607-754-CARE to make an appointment today. For more information, visit our website at progressivedentalny.com.
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way out to the Millhouse Market and download their app on the Google Play and Apple App Store, so you'll have their entire menu at your fingertips, from their homemade breads and desserts, as well as to all of their salads, their quinoa bowls, their rice bowls, their brick oven pizzas, and the sandwiches they named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community and ingrained in our taste buds, there is nothing like the Millhouse Market. That's why they are absolutely, positively worth the drive every single time for those amazing flavors created by Rebecca Elford and her entire team at the Millhouse Market. We'll see you out there today. Download the app, and the app has directions from wherever you are. So they have a map on the app. You can plug in your address on the app itself, and not only can you order, get all your food, contactless pay, tip on the app, go through the drive-thru, not even have to leave your car, but the app will also give you directions from wherever you are to get to the Millhouse Market, open Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Head out there today for their general store with awesome local products from local companies, as well as their indoor dining and their drive-up, drive-through window. And, of course, every weekend, they change up the menu at the Millhouse Market, so you can go in there to get the new bistro menu every single weekend. So constantly changing things up, bringing in new stuff, keeping the favorites that we have, and all the great things that they do, like their fantastical. I don't think they make a bad cookie. I've tried so many different types of cookies at the Millhouse Market, and every single one of them has been amazing. So head out to the Millhouse Market today, 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every time. With that being stated, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, we are here inside of the Coastal Division of the ACC's takeover of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora that I have dubbed Coastal Cruisin Week. You've heard from Duke, you've heard from Georgia Tech, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. It is now time to hear from Syracuse rival Pittsburgh, as you will hear from the likes of Pat Narduzzi, their head coach, as well as Deslin Alexander, their defensive end, Jordan Addison, their wide receiver, and Kenny Pickett, their quarterback, right here where sports meets life, to round out Coastal Cruisin' Week, the Coastal Division's takeover of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from the ACC. Here is my conversation with Mr. Pat Narduzzi.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. How you doing, Coach?
Good.
Doing well. Looking at the last 6 years as you head into year number 7, how would you assess, looking past all this time that you've had at Pittsburgh, where are things from where you wanted them to be to where they currently are, kind of overlooking your era here?
I guess the first thing to assess is getting off the bowl. Going on year 7 here at Pitt. I really like the football team we have. It takes time to build. And, you meet these 3 classy young men over here in a second. But when you look at the quality of player we have, there's times in our first couple years we're looking out and we're like, wow, okay? And that's no disrespect to what we had in our field. I think every year we get a little bit of that. I think the quality of personnel we have, I think our depth, I think it all starts with the roster man. We've been able to retain our players. We don't have a bunch of guys in the world. Our guys are sticking with us. And I'll leave for example, kid picking money over the country wants to build, and he says, I'm coming back for my 5th year at Pitt. And that tells you about the culture we have there. But we've got quality football players, and you know how the game goes. There's the ups and downs of every ball game, and sometimes it takes a little luck. But I'm excited about where we are as a football program, as a football team. And again, our depth and our roster management is as good as it's been. And we've got, I sit there and look for years like, how are we going to get to the season with these 4 linebackers can play? Now I'm looking like, man, if he goes down, if he goes down, and he goes down, we're still okay. And I think that's crucial, in the ACC.
Pat Narduzzi talking about depth and where they are right now. If he goes down and he goes down and he goes down, that for the first time that he's been at Pitt, now he steps into year number 7, looking at the fact that they have somebody to back up that person of that person of that person if they end up going down. So some big-time stuff for Pat Narduzzi in case you need it. You got to always have it. And that's the thing. Depth is such a hard thing to build, especially when you're coming on to a team as a coach and you're trying to, start your era off. So heading into year number 7, Narduzzi, 8-5, 8-5, 5-7, 7-7, 8-5, 6-5. So he's only had one losing record in 6 seasons at Pittsburgh, one 500 record, and 4 records above 500, including 3 of them at 8-5. He has taken the team to 4 bowl games in 6 seasons. And they lost the Military, the Pinstripe, and the Sun, and they just won their most recent one, the Quick Lane Bowl, in 2019, a year where they also went 8-5. My conversation continues with Pat Narduzzi on name, image, and likeness, and this is what he had to say about that.
Coach, name, image, and likeness, something that every coach has to really think about and break down to the best of your ability at this point. There's a lot of questions. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of answers at the moment. How do you assess it?
Number one, it's a great opportunity for our kids. I think as coaches, you look at your children back at home, your children on campus, and I look at our players, the opportunities they have. And I want to be selective on do the right opportunities. We want to make sure they're organizing what they do, the opportunities that our kids are getting. And then it gives some young guys an opportunity to look up at Kenny Pickett or Desmond Alexander and say, well, I want to be like him. Like, look what he got. How do I get where Kenny is? Okay? Everybody should want to be in Kenny's shoes. And it's not just a given. Kenny's earned anything he's got. People around the country earn what they're given right now. Like I said, Kenny's certainly, when he decided to come back, he didn't come back thinking that this David and likeness was going to be something. But he's able to take part in it, and it's really going to build it for the future. It's going to build our kids for the future. So I think it's a great opportunity for our young men to build their image. We've got a lifestyle program on campus. Penn Smile runs it, but since the first day I arrived on campus, he always talked about branding. So we've been branding for a long time in Pittsburgh. He's always talking about the first impression, what people think when they step up on the podium today. So we've been talking about branding for a long time. Now it's an opportunity for our kids to earn some money. Okay, earn a meal, I don't care what it is, but to be able to not have to go to a restaurant and say, you can't give me that appetizer. So it's a great opportunity, but there's got to be some restrictions, some limits on this thing. I think we'll eventually get to that. It's disappointing that there already isn't some legislation. The commissioner talked about it earlier this morning, so I won't be the dead horse with that, but there's got to be some constraints on this thing that I think you can get out of control. But all we want to do is, make it legal. I think the equality there is going to be important.
The equality there is going to be important. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that from Pat Narduzzi. He thinks it's a great idea and it's something good for the players to earn some money, and like he said, to try and figure out, how did Kenny Pickett get that, and how did he do that, and how did this guy do this and this guy do that? I want to learn, and that's and that means a lot. You know what I mean? It means a lot to Kenny Pickett, I'm sure, and to the guys on the team that he calls out and says, hey, these are the guys that you kind of want to look to and say, how did they do this? How did they go about this? But like he said, there has to be parameters. There has to be equality. You got to find ways to, figure this thing out together. And so I agree with it. I think that a nonprofit organization that turns over $1 billion in a year, that's insane. And on top of that, the fact that the NCAA would be nothing without the student athletes, and then to say that, well, the student athletes can't have anything, that's insane. But there has to be parameters and there has to be equality across the board, because this thing has more questions than answers, and it's going to get really out of hand. And that's something that we need to get a hold of. We need to figure out together. Heading to the players of Pittsburgh as we continue Coastal Cruisin Week, the Coastal Division of the ACC's takeover of Wake Up Call. You've heard from Duke, Georgia Tech, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia, and Virginia Tech, and now we are finishing things off with the Pitt Panthers. You just heard from Pat Narduzzi. It's now time to go to Deslin Alexander. I had an opportunity to ask him a couple questions going into the 2021-2022 season. This is what Deslin had to say in question number 1.
Deslin, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. What did you take away from Rashad Weaver and just what he meant to you as you move forward here? What are some of those pieces that you really think had an effect on you from him?
Mostly just approach the game, respect the game. To do the things that he was able to do. He was just every day. How he watched film, how he prepared was tremendous. He showed on the field.
What they showed on the field helping out Deslin Alexander. Second question to Deslin, just what he can say coming off him talking about Rashad Weaver is just being a part of a historic defense. Pitt is known for their defense. They're known for the defense with the Panthers. They're known for the defense with the old steel curtain of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the same city. So here's Deslin speaking about being a part of a team that has such a historic defense.
Deslin, being a part of Pittsburgh's defense, obviously the history of that holds a lot of weight. Just what you can say, like you said, not about what we lost, but what we have right now. Speak on this season and then kind of the overarching piece of it, which is why did you want to become a part of Pittsburgh's historic defense?
Just as you said, because of the historic defense, and guys who came before me, the guys who respect the way, for us to be able to speak like this. Even Coach Archie preparing us all day, all that coming in, making sure it's one career and let me be a part of this history.
That coming from Deslin Alexander. We head to the offensive side of the ball with Jordan Addison, their wide receiver, right now.
Jordan, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Last season you led the nation's freshmen in receptions per game and in total receptions. Just what you can say about building off of that and having your quarterback back.
Having my quarterback back means a lot. My first season being as good as it was, just giving me a lot of momentum to just keep going and keep succeeding. Got a lot to build off of.
And in having his quarterback back, Jordan Addison, speaking on Kenny Pickett, and I had the opportunity to speak to Kenny Pickett, the quarterback of this Pitt Panthers team, and this is what Kenny had to say in our first conversation.
Kenny, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Year 5, why? Why come back?
I think a lot of things to it. The draft projections, talking with my coach, because I'm using Coach Whipple, see the team we got coming back. I think there's an opportunity for this team to have a really special year. So I'm right where I want to be when I make the decision. I told myself I'll be all in on it, so I'm all in and ready to go.
Kenny Pickett coming back for year number 5 and coming back for one more Q&A here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
Kenny, for you nationally, do you feel that you have the spotlight that you think that you deserve? And secondly, where has your game improved the most as you step into year 5?
I'm not too concerned about the spotlight nationally and handling the league and everything. That just kind of hands itself focus on having a great year. What was the second question?
Where your game has improved in your opinion the most?
Really just pocket awareness. I'd say there's something that works out big. Pocket movement, operate from the pocket. I feel like I can do a pretty good job of running, getting out of trouble when I need to. But obviously taking the next step inside the pocket and different throws and being more consistent.
That coming from Kenny Pickett, quarterback of the Pitt Panthers. And Kenny Pickett, by the numbers here, as a freshman had a 59.1% completion percentage, went down to 58.1%, then went up to 61.6% and kept it at 61% last year, 61.1%. Threw for 2,408 yards last year with 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Matched the 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions from a year before. But he had 3,098 yards that season. 39 touchdowns, 25 interceptions cumulatively at this point, and he is only 16 yards shy of having 8,000 passing yards in Pitt history. His completion percentage is at 60%. So that is where we're at with Kenny Pickett. I'm sure he wants that to be a little bit better as the team steps forward and tries to be a little bit better this season. The Pitt Panthers will face off at the beginning of the season against UMass, then they'll be at Tennessee against the SEC. They'll take on Western Michigan. Tim Lester, my guy in the Western Michigan Broncos, will come to town to Pittsburgh. Then they'll be home. Pitt will be home again against New Hampshire. And then they'll start off their ACC play on the road for the first 2 games. At Georgia Tech, at Virginia Tech. Home against Clemson for their first home game in the ACC. Yay them. Having to play Clemson, but it's at home, so that's good. Miami at home, at Duke, North Carolina, Virginia at home, and at Syracuse, final game of the regular season for Syracuse and Pitt on November 27th, which is a Saturday. Last year, the Pitt Panthers under Pat Narduzzi went 6-5, as I had stated, 5-5 in the ACC. They defeated Austin Peay out of conference 55-0 in the only non-conference they could play in a COVID year. Then they defeated Syracuse and Louisville at home. Louisville was ranked 24th in the nation. Lost to NC State by a point, 30-29 at home. Lost to Boston College by a point in overtime, 31-30. Lost at Miami, 31-19. Lost against Notre Dame at home, 45-3. Then defeated Florida State on the road. Virginia Tech at home. Lost to Clemson, 52-17 on the road, and defeated Georgia Tech, 34-20. So 2 games decided by a point. We could have seen Pitt with an 8-5 record at that point. So, which would have matched what Pat Narduzzi did plenty of other times in his tenure at Pitt so far in 6 seasons, as I had mentioned before. So, with that being said, this is the Coastal Cruisin' Week in its entirety. The Coastal Division of the ACC takeover this week. Duke, Georgia Tech, Miami, North Carolina, Pitt, Virginia, and Virginia Tech all take it over Wake Up Call, and we appreciate them all for being here. As, of course, we appreciate the ACC's Atlantic Division for everything that I got to do with them as well. And a shout out to the Atlantic Division as my conversations you heard last week in the Atlantic Action Week with FSU, Boston College, NC State, Louisville, Wake Forest, as well as Clemson and, of course, Syracuse. So very, very happy to have spoken with everybody and appreciate them so very much. And big thanks to everybody. Over 60 total interview questions and 51 people interviewed, a new record for me at the ACC kickoff. So with that being said, a big thanks to Papa Joe. A thanks to all my guests today, Michael Harley Jr., De'Ara King of Miami. Big thanks to Jeff Collins, Jeff Sims, as well as Wanye Thomas and Ayinde Ely from Georgia Tech. And a thank you goes out to Pat Narduzzi, Kenny Pickett, as well as Jordan Addison and Deslin Alexander of the Pitt Panthers. With that being said, TGIF tomorrow, Annoying Moment of the Week presented by Carvel DeWitt. Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay with my partner, Juanita Ward. Stay tuned to find out what our new topic is going to be this week. The Top Dog of the Week brought to you by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. And for the first time ever, Northeast Conference Commissioner Noreen Morris joins the show for an extensive, awesome, pertinent to the times college discussion on everything to do with athletics and so much more. Noreen gets to tell her story, and we get to speak on all the things going on in the collegiate world of sports. You do not want to miss a second of that. Northeast Commissioner Noreen Morris joining the show tomorrow for some awesome and exciting stuff. So with that being said, thanks to Papa Joe, Miami, Georgia Tech, and Pitt. Thanks to you. Be well, be safe. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And in the meantime, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon.